Zionists have now made their own dog whistles, and you've got to prepare yourself, so let me help you break them down. Let's start off with a banger. You might have read this in a random comment section, heard it on Piers Morgan or some random corner of the internet. They say, don't start a war you can't win. On the surface, it sounds like a realist take on war, just common sense. But in the context of Israel's genocide of Palestinians, it's actually destructive propaganda wearing a disguise. If you challenge this phrase, the person will often deny being a Zionist, deny having any Zionist beliefs. They'll claim to be neutral, they'll claim to be innocent, but this denial and deflection is part of the strategy. Plausible deniability while signaling themselves to other Zionists that they were actually on the same team. That's exactly how dog whistles operate, so let's break down some of the lies and manipulation that is all packed into this tiny phrase. First off, this dog whistle is genocide denial, characterizing the massacre of at least hundreds of thousands of people as simply war is dishonest. Despite rulings by the world's highest court that there's plausible risk of genocide, despite the world's top human rights organizations, even some Israeli ones now, even UN officials and genocide scholars all over the globe are coming to a consensus that what has been done to the Palestinians in Gaza by the state of Israel has definitely crossed that line. This dog whistle is also victim blaming. Palestinians are victims to over 70 years of brutal occupation, over a century of settler colonialism and ethnic cleansing. They are totally dominated by an ethno-religious group and now are subject to an unfolding genocide in Gaza with the looming threat of even more cleansing, even more settlement. Now, this is obviously not their fault. It's the fault of the people who's held power, and that has consistently been Zionists whose ideology, Zionism, has informed these decisions to subjugate Palestinians. This phrase quietly brushes past all of Zionism's history prior to October 2023, blaming Palestinians for their own oppression, for the violence they are subjected to, even though Israel's domination necessitates resistance. It leaves out the context of decades of attempts by Palestinians to peacefully resist that were always met by Israel with mass killings of their people, such as the Great March of Return, where weekly demonstrations were set up at the Gaza-Israel border for nearly 2 years straight, symbolically demanding an end to the blockade and a recognition of refugee rights. The Israeli response was IDF snipers using live rounds on unarmed Palestinian protesters, murdering 214, including journalists, medics, and children. Over 36,000 Palestinians were injured by the IDF during this 2-year period, many with permanent disabilities. It erases the obvious power balance between Palestinians and Israeli Zionists, who have an army backed by the entire might of the American empire versus civilians who took up arms to fight for their liberation. One side is clearly and always going to be outmatched. Saying don't start a war you can't win is shrugging off Israel's genocide of Palestinians as a reasonable consequence to resistance. It assumes that Palestinian annihilation is natural and Israeli supremacy is permanent. This dog whistle works as psychological warfare for the Zionist project, telling Zionists that their violence is justified and outsiders that any form of resistance is futile. It's a way to shut down sympathy for Palestinians by giving this idea of they started it, they lost, end of story. Put yourself in the impossible situation of being a Palestinian subjected to Zionism's domination. No matter what you do, no matter if you peacefully protest, if you put your head down and look straight ahead, if you take up arms to resist your oppressors, they will always work to erase and destroy every aspect of your civilization, culture, and people. Your mere existence is an offensive act. Your identity is more than enough to put you in harm's way. And that's how dog whistles work. They turn incredibly violent realities into innocent sounding phrasables, digestible phrases that will make you feel good. But now you know what to listen for, and next time you hear something like this, it doesn't have to be the exact same phrase. Remember what's actually being said. Remember what I taught you, and don't let it go unnoticed. If you appreciate my work and would like to see more of this series because it's new, please follow me on Substack and make sure to interact with this post so it reaches more eyes. We are currently running an initiative that has been feeding Palestinians directly on the ground, trapped in Gaza every single day. And if you can contribute, I urge you to visit my bio to do so. Thank you, and free Palestine.